Hello students, welcome to IAS by Heart. It is a session 10 of the prelims is season 2. In this session, we are going to discuss 10 most probable questions that can be expected in your upcoming prelims examination 2021. Okay, as we told earlier, these questions have been modeled based on the analysis of last 5 years of UPSC question papers. However, in this session, we are going to discuss 10 most basic questions from basic sources and basic concepts. Why? Because if you go through prelims question papers of year 2019 and 20, UPSC has relied more on these basic concepts and basic sources. Okay, so make sure that you are utilizing best out of it. Without delay, we are getting into the discussion. The first question. If you go through the first question, the first statement is about the first statement. First statement is about Global Tiger Forum. Second statement is about Ramsar Convention. Third statement is about Bonn Convention. And if you read all these statements, there is a restrictive extreme word, that is only and only. So Global Tiger Forum is the only intergovernmental and international body campaigning to save the tiger worldwide. Ramsar Convention is the only global treaty to focus on a single ecosystem. Okay, Bonn Convention is the only global convention specializing in the conservation of migratory species throughout their range. Okay, so if you go through all these statements are based on the restrictive extreme. If you go through UPSC prelims in previous year question papers, there are two extremes. So one is positive extreme and the next one is negative extreme. Positive extreme means it is the highest living organism, like that statements. Okay, restrictive or negative extreme means this one is only global intergovernmentality, only global treaty, only global convention. Okay, so you should be very careful about this positive and negative extreme words. So the question is about correct statement. Okay, if you go through 2019 prelims question paper, there was a question about negative extreme. So in the first statement contains only, second statement also contains only, third statement also contains only. So UPSC has asked a question in this fashion from this species, but in future UPSC may jump to environmental conservation. So this question have been discussed for in this session. Okay, so before solving this question, we are going through explanation for our understanding. Explanation. The Global Tiger Forum is the only intergovernmental and international body established with members from willing countries. So here the keyword is willing country, not all countries, only willing countries, to embark on a global campaign to protect the tiger. Okay, the General Assembly. So Global Tiger Forum is, it has General Assembly of Global Tiger Forum shall meet once in 3 years. So the General Assembly meets once in 3 years, and the chairperson usually from these from these tiger range countries of environmental ministers. So a chairperson, usually a minister from one of the tiger range countries, heads Global Tiger Forum for a fixed tenure of 3 years. So the General Assembly meets once in 3 years, and the tenure of the chairperson is 3 years. The chairperson usually from these tiger range countries of environmental minister. Okay, Global Tiger Forum is focused on saving 5 subspecies of tigers. So there are 5 subspecies of tigers. Okay, distributed over 13 tiger range countries. There are 13 tiger range countries and 5 subspecies of tigers. Okay, the goal of the Global Tiger Forum is to highlight the rationale for tiger conservation. Okay, tiger conservation, provide leadership and utilize a common approach throughout the world in order to safeguard the survival of the tiger, its prey and its habitat. So this Global Tiger Forum is to ensure that the tiger species are protected with their prey and its habitat. Okay, after going through Global Tiger Forum, we are coming to Ramsar Convention and Bonn Convention. Okay, one of the oldest intergovernmental accord. Yes, Ramsar Convention is one of the oldest intergovernmental accord. It is the only convention for preserving the ecological character of wetlands. So Ramsar Convention is related to conservation of wetland. Okay, Montreux's records. Under Ramsar Convention, they maintain one record. It is called as Montreux record. It is a register of wetlands on the list of wetlands of international importance. So there are some wetlands, they have been environmentally degraded. So to protect these wetlands, this Montreux record has been created under Ramsar Convention for the conservation of wetlands. From India, if you see, from India, Keoladi National Park from Rajasthan and Loktak Lake from Manipur are under Montreux record from India. Okay. If you see, the Chilika Lake from Odisha had been placed in this Montreux record. After a successful conservation and rejuvenation of this Chilika Lake, it has been removed from this Montreux record. Okay. Bonn Convention, also known as Convention on the Species of Migratory Species. Okay. Only convention, here the keyword lies here. Only convention that deals with taking or harvesting of species from the wild. So migratory species covers all species, not only animal species but also bird species. And under the aegis of it is and comes under the aegis of United Nations Environment Program. It becomes very important. It is a keyword in this Bonn challenge. Okay. A migrate, then you may think that what is migratory species? Without knowing migratory species, how can you read Bonn Convention and other details here? Okay, so based on that assertion, we have placed this. What is migratory species? A migratory species crosses one or more national boundaries. So one or more national boundaries cyclically and predictably. Cyclically means seasonally, and predictably means the migratory route is already known, due to factors like food, temperature, and shelter. Okay, so after going through all this information, we are coming back to solve this question. So after going through information, we are concluding that all these three statements are, all these statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 are correct. So the question is about correct statement. So we can conclude that the correct answer could be option B. All the statements are correct. Okay. Moving to next question. Second question. With reference to Abdul Hamid Lahori. With reference to Abdul Hamid Lahori, who was a traveler and historian during medieval India, which one of the following statement is correct? Okay. So this question has been covered from the basic source of NCERT. If you go through themes in Indian history, part 2 of 12th standard NCERT, there has been a dedicated page for Abdul Hamid Lahori. So it becomes very important for us to have a look at this personality in this prelims. Okay. So why this question has been placed here means, if you go through 2019 question paper, there was a question about Mian Danson. So you have to find a not correct statement. There are 4 statements has been given. You have to find not correct statement. So based on this analysis, we have formulated Abdul Hamid Lahori. So it may become very handy for the UPC to pick question from Abdul Hamid Lahori. So before solving this question, we are moving to see information about Abdul Hamid Lahori. Okay, who is Abdul Hamid Lahori? He was the official chronicler of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. So we are sure that Abdul Hamid Lahori is the contemporary of Shah Jahan. He was a pupil of Abul Fasal. So he is greatly influenced by Abul Fasal. Who is Abul Fasal? Then the author of Akbarnama. Akbarnama is containing the details of Akbar. So he is the author of Akbarnama, and he influenced the great personality Abdul Hamid Lahori. Okay. Abdul Hamid Lahori is known as the author of Barshanama. Barshanama, it is an authoritative account of reign of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. Okay, so after going through all this information, we are coming back to solving this question. So if you go through the statement, first statement, he was the official chronicler of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. Okay, he wrote the book called Barshanama about the reign of Jahangir. No, the Barshanama is about reign of Shah Jahan, and he was greatly influenced by Mian Danson. No, he was greatly influenced by Abul Fasal, as we see now. He was the important military commander during Akbar reign. No, he was an important military commander during Shah Jahan's reign, and he was the official chronicler of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. So the correct answer could be option A. Okay, so After solving this question, we are moving to next question. Consider the following developments in Indian history. So there are 4 statements has been given. You have to arrange this statement in correct chronological order. These are the important historical development in Indian history. The first one is the golden age of India. The second one is development of Vesara style of temple architecture. The third one is Sangama dynasty founded by Harihara and Bukka. Fourth one is first battle of Panipat. So there are 4 options given here. You have to pick the correct chronological order, which has been already arranged in this all these 4 options. So before solving this question, if you go through 2020 question paper, UPSC has taken U-turn in its asking style of questions. Why? Because before 2013 and 2012, UPSC used to ask question about chronological order. After that, it left this chronological order fashion in taking questions. But again, UPSC is taking U-turn in this area. So in 2020, there was a question in chronological sequence. Consider the following events in the history of India. There are 4 statements given. You have to arrange this in correct chronological order. So what we thought that so important historical development has to be read by aspirants for the upcoming prelims examinations. So that's why we have been placed this important historical development in this question discussion. Okay, so before solving this question, we are going through important historical development in Indian history. Okay, 2500 BC Harappan phase. It is the most important phase of Indian urbanization. First urbanization in India. Okay, then 563. Sorry, 563 birth of Buddha, establishment of Buddhism. 540 BC birth of Gautama. He was the 24th Tirthankara of Jainism. Okay, so before him there was a 23 Tirthankaras in Jainism. So here it becomes that Jainism is very older than Buddhism. So okay. 322 BC to 185 BC. It is the political unification of India under Mauryan Empire. They united India politically under the empire. Okay. 319 AD to 467 AD. It is the golden age of India. Why it is the golden age of India means art and architecture literature developed in this time. So that's why it is called as golden age of India. Nagara style of temple architecture developed under Gupta Empire. Okay, so there are 3 styles of temple architecture. One is Nagara style, and the next one is Vesara style, and third one is Dravidian style. Okay, so if you go through these temple architectures, Nagara style can be found in northern India, Dravidian style can be found in southern India. Vesara style lies in the central Indian region. So central Indian region is the influence of north and south India. So it is the Vesara style is a hybridization of both Dravidian and Nagara style. Okay. Okay. Then next development 543 AD to 755 AD. The development of Vesara style of architecture under Chalukyas. So the Nagara style developed under the Guptas. The Vesara style developed under Chalukyas, and 575 AD to 897 AD. It is the development of structural temples under Pallavas. It laid the foundation stone for Dravidian architecture. Okay. Next one is 1178 AD to 1192. First and second battle of Tanay. So the first battle it was fought between Prithviraj. First battle was in 1191 between Prithviraj Chauhan and Mahmud of Ghori. Okay, so in this battle, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Mahmud of Ghori. In the second next year, the same next year in 1192, Mahmud of Ghori defeated Prithviraj in second battle of Taran. So it is a very historical development in Indian history. Okay. 1211 AD to 1236 AD. It is a period of foundation of Delhi Sultanate. The India is entering into the medieval times, medieval era. 1290 AD to 1296 AD, establishment of Khalji dynasty by Jalaluddin Khalji. So in Delhi Sultanate, there are different dynasties. One is Khalji, Lodi, Said dynasty. Okay, so you read all this from your NCERT books. Okay, next one is establishment of Lodi dynasty by Bahlul Lodi. And the next one is establishment of Sangama dynasty by Harihara and Bukka. Okay. So the next one is foundation of Mughal Empire in the Great Mughals by Babur. The Great Mughal Empire was founded by Great Emperor Babur. Beginning of decline of Mughal Empire under Aurangzeb. It was in 1707 AD because of his reversive policies. Policies of who? Mr. Aurangzeb. And then in 1757 AD, Battle of Plassey. It led to the modern Indian history. Britain established their authority in India. Okay. Next one is 1764 Battle of Buxar. Okay. So after going through all this information, we are coming back to solving this question. So as we saw, the first one is the first chronological order is first one should become in the golden age of India. Next one is second, third one is first battle of Terrain 1191 and Sangama dynasty and later times. So the answer could be 1, 2, 4, 3. So the correct answer could be option A. 1, 2, 4, 3 is a correct chronological order. Okay. So we are moving to next question here. The next question. The question is about office of BIP. So it becomes very important to discuss about office of BIP. If you go through these statements, there are 3 statements given. Question is asking about correct statement. So after seeing this question, you have to look at whether question is about correct statement or incorrect statement, and you should mark this word here. Okay. So if you go through 2019 prelims question paper, there was a question about office of profit. So what we are saying here is, previously UPC used to ask a question about conventional areas from parliament, state legislature, president, vice president, speaker, etc. But UPSC is moving towards unconventional areas like this areas, office of profit, office of VIP. And more importantly, the office of VIP has been in use for last 2 years recurrently. Okay, last 2 years. Okay, so it becomes very important for the upcoming prelims examination, the concept of office of VIP. So before solving this question, we are going to see some explanation, information about the office of VIP. Who is a VIP then? You should know who is a VIP. A VIP is an official of a political party who acts as the party's enforcer. So he is the party's enforcer inside the legislative assembly as House of Parliament. So office of VIP is present both in Parliament and state legislature. Okay. He ensures the attendance of his party members. Okay. He maintains this attendance of party members. Okay. He is responsible for the party discipline and behavior in the floor of the house. So he is that is why he becomes enforcer. So as we saw here, enforcer. Okay. A legislator may face disqualification proceedings if she or he disobeys the whip of the party, unless the lawmakers define the whip is 2/3 of the party's strength in the house. It is very important because it talks about disqualification of membership, okay, from the house. Next one is, in presidential elections, whip cannot direct a member of parliament or a member of legislative assembly to vote in particular fashion. So these members are abide by the orders of whip, but in presidential elections they are not mandated to abide for the orders of whip. Okay. The office of whip is mentioned neither in the constitution nor in the rules of the house, nor in the parliamentary statute. It is based on the parliamentary conventions. Okay, so it is not mentioned in constitution, rules of the house, and the parliamentary statutes. Okay, so after going through all this information, we are coming back to solving this question. So the first statement is, a legislator may face disqualification proceedings if she or he disobeys the whip of the political party. Yes, this statement is correct. And next one is, India inherited the concept of whip from British parliamentary system. Yes, we have adopted a British parliamentary system under the same concept of office of whip. It is mentioned neither in the constitution, nor in the rules of the house, nor in the parliamentary statute. Yes, this is also correct. Why? Because it has been only mentioned in the parliamentary conventions, not in this statutes and constitutions. So all these statements are correct. The correct answer would be option D. All the statements are correct. Okay. So after solving this question, we are moving to next question. Next question. A characteristic feature of the cold weather season over northern plains in India is. So The question is taken from NCERT, 9th standard NCERT geography. 9th standard NCERT geography. Okay. So it is a very basic question. So if you read that NCERT, you know that in India, there are different seasons. There are 4 seasons. One is cold weather season. Next one is hot weather season. Next one is southwest monsoon season. Next one is northeast monsoon or retreating monsoon. Okay, retreating monsoon season. So these are the very important season in Indian climatic conditions. Okay, so you have to read this NCERT for the clear understanding of these seasons. So question is about cold weather season and its impact on the northern plains in India, not in the southern peninsula. Okay, so if you go through 2019 question paper, if you go through 2019 question paper, there was a question about summer solstice. The 21st June is called as summer solstice. It is a very basic question picked from NCERT sources. Okay, so based on this formulation, we have adopted NCERT sources here to discuss for the session. Okay, so before going through this cold weather session, solving this question, we are coming to know that what is cold weather season and hot weather season. So you yourself read about the southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon or retreating monsoon. So the first one is in the cold weather season. The cold weather is normally marked by clear sky, low temperature, and low humidity and feeble variable winds. So it is a climatic condition of the cold weather season. Next one is in the characteristic feature. It is the question in our discussion. A characteristic feature of the cold weather season over the northern plain is the inflow of cyclonic disturbances from west and the northwest. Yes, the cyclonic disturbance comes from the Mediterranean region and from Central Asia. So from west, it is from Mediterranean. From northwest, it is from Central and West Asia. Okay. Okay. So next one is hot weather season. A striking feature, important feature. A striking feature is of the hot weather season is the low. It is a hot, strong, gusty wind and dry wind blowing during the day over the northern and northwestern India. So it is very important feature of hot weather season. Dust storms are very common in northern India during the hot weather season and localized thunderstorms because land heats up intensively and forms local thunderstorm conditions associated with violent winds, torrential downpours, often accompanied by height. So after going through all this information, we are coming back to solve this question. So if you go through the first statement, the inflow of the cyclonic disturbances from west and the northwest. Yes, as we saw in the explanation page, from west it is from Mediterranean region, from northwest it is Central Asia and West Asian region, and locally thunderstorms associated with violent wind, it is associated with hot weather season. Dust storms is also associated with the hot weather season. Southeast trade winds blow in a southwest direction. No, it is a southwest monsoon season. So the characteristic feature of cold weather season is the option A is the correct answer. It is the inflow of cyclonic disturbances from the west and northwest. Okay. So after solving this question, we are moving to next question. The next question is from which one? The Prime Minister Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is PM Swanidhi. Okay. So here the keyword is not correct. You should be very careful about these words. Not correct. Question is about not correct statement. Okay. So if you go through 2018 question paper, there was a 3 schemes asked in this fashion. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. There are 3 statements given. You have to find the correct statement. So there are 4 options given. You have to find the correct statement. So based on this question, we have formulated this question from PM Swanidhi. Okay, so before solving this question, we are going through information provided in this page for our understanding. The first, the PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Bharat, PM Swanidhi was launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So it has been launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs for providing affordable working capital loan to street vendors. During the COVID pandemic, this working capital of the street vendors was severely curtailed and the doors were closed shut down. So to revive their economic activity, this scheme has been launched by our Honorable Prime Minister. Next one is As per the Street Vendors Act of 2014, the town vending committees issue a certificate of vending. Yes. To access the benefit under this Swanidhi, the street vendors need to produce which one? A certificate of vending. The authority issuing this certificate is town vending committees. It has been established under the Street Vendors Act of 2014. Okay. So next to the important provision is KYC documents are needed. KYC means know your customer documents are needed. It can be like Aadhaar card, voter's identity card, driving license, a NREGA card, and a PAN card. Next one is there will be no penalty on yearly repayment of loan. Yes, there will be no penalty. Why? Because he has been repaid his loan in correct times. So there will be no penalty here. Okay. The street vendors can avail the facility of the escalation of the credit limit on timely or yearly repayment of loan. Yes, very important feature of this Swanidhi scheme. Next one is if you see it in the implementation agency is SIDBI, Small Industries and the Small Industry Development Bank of India. It is an implementing agency of the PM Swanidhi scheme. So after going through all this information, we are coming back to solving this question. Okay, the first statement is it was launched by Ministry of Labor and Employment. No, as we saw now, it is the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay, so next one is KYC documents are not needed to assess the benefit under this scheme. No, it is needed as we saw in the explanation page, and it can be Aadhaar card, voter ID card, or driving license. Next one is as per the Street Vendors Act of 2014, town vending committees issue a certificate of vending. Yes, they are the issuing authority. The statement is correct. There will be no penalty on yearly repayment of loan. Yes, this one is also correct. So question is about not correct statement. So first and second statements are incorrect. So the correct answer would be option A. 1 and 2 only are incorrect. Okay. After solving this question, we are moving to next question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. There are 4 statements given here. Question is about correct statements. Okay. So what we are trying to say here is we have picked this question from these basic terminologies of economy in economy parlance. Okay. So why? Because if you go through 2019 and 2020 question, same dicto questions have been asked, but in different manner. So there was a description given in the 2019 question. So there are 4 options. These are the terminologies of basic economic. Okay, so financial market economics. And if you come to 2020 question, the same area. See here commercial paper, here also. Sorry, here also commercial paper. Here certificate of deposit. Here also certificate of deposit. Here call money. Here some not call money. Here zero coupon bonds. So here promissory note and participatory note. So what UPSC is taking is it selects some basic terminologies and take fixed question, but in different manner in this form also and in this statement based question also. So it becomes very important for us to have a look at it, all these important financial market terminology. So the first one is commercial paper. Commercial paper is an unsecured money market instrument issued in the form of promissory note. Yes, it is a money market instrument issued in the form of promissory note. Okay, promissory note means there are two person A, person B. It is the market authority. Here is a trader. So he takes loan from here and he issues some promissory note that I will pay this loan from this date. Okay. It is issued by corporates, primary dealers, and all India financial institutions to meet short-term funding obligations. So it is a promissory note. It is issued in the form of promissory note, but in the form of short-term obligations. Okay, it can be issued in denomination of rupees 5 lakh or multiple thereof. So yes, promissory notes can be issued only in the form of denomination of 5 lakh or multiples. That means 10 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakh, 25 lakh, etc. So it based in this fashion. Okay. Next one is treasury bill. Next one is treasury bill. Treasury bills are money market. This is also money market instrument, short-term debt instrument. So both commercial paper and treasury bills are money market instrument, but short-term debt instruments issued by the government of India. If you see commercial paper are issued by corporates, primary dealers, or already financial institution. But if you see treasury bills, it is issued by government directly in 3 tenors. If you see treasury bills, it is issued in 3 tenors. That means 91 days, 182 and 364 days. And next one is, these are zero coupon securities and no pay, no interest. Yes, these are zero coupon securities. Zero coupon security means no interest. That is, it will be issued in a discounted rate. It means if in the treasury bill is, its face value is 1,000 rupees, but what government will do is it will issue in for the 900 rupees to these customers. So after some these periods, after 91 days or 182 days or 364 days, this person will come to government and he will reproduce these treasury bills and he will get back 1,000 rupees. So this is the format of issuing treasury bills. Okay, next one is certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit, in the name itself, it lies the explanation. Certificate of deposit means if I have deposited 10 lakh in a bank and I need a loan or money for the other business. So what I can do is I can go to the bank and ask, issue me a certificate of deposit. That means I have deposited 10 lakh. So based on this 10 lakh, issue a certificate so that I can utilize that certificate for some other purposes. It is a purpose of certificate of deposit. So it is a negotiable money market instrument issued in dematerialized form. Okay, so it is issued in dematerialized form or as a promissory note against fund deposited at a bank or other eligible financial institution for a specified time period. So this is what I told in earlier. Next one is, it is issued by scheduled commercial bank. So see, commercial paper is issued by corporates, primary dealers, all India financial institutions. Treasury bills are issued by government itself, and certificate of deposit are issued by scheduled commercial bank. But if you see, excluding regional rural banks, local area banks. So if you see that regional rural banks and local area banks cannot issue certificate of deposits. Only commercial bank, scheduled commercial bank can issue certificate of deposit. Okay, and select all India financial institutions that have been permitted by RBI. So all India financial institutions can also issue certificate of deposit, but it should be permitted by RBI. The minimum amount of certificate of deposit should be rupees 1 lakh. So in the case of promissory note, it is 5 lakh and multiples, but in the case of the certificate of deposit, it is rupees 1 lakh. Next one is zero coupon bond. These are non-interest bearing, non-transferable special government securities that have a maturity period of 10 to 15 years. So it is a zero coupon bond, is a long-term debt instrument. This is long-term debt instrument. It is not interest bearing, non-transfer. Non-transfer means the ownership cannot be changed in this zero coupon bond. And the next one is, these are not tradable. Tradable means if you buying a bond and utilizing it for some other trading purposes, it is tradable, but zero coupon bond cannot be used for any other purposes. So that is why it is mentioned as non-tradable debt instruments. Okay, so next one is promissory note. Sorry. Next one is promissory note. It is a legal written agreement and the financial tool signed by the drawer with the promise to pay the money on a specific date or whenever demanded another party. So the explanation itself gives the definition of promissory note. Next one is participatory note. Participatory note means there is a market regulator, SEBI, in India. So what the role of participatory note is, I want to invest in Indian share market, but I don't want to register with SEBI. So what I will do is I will go to some other financial market institution. They have already registered with SEBI. I will go into give all these details and money to that registered entity. Then they will invest on behalf of me in this financial market of India. This is what the role of participatory note. Yes, it is a financial instruments issued by a registered foreign institutional investor to an overseas investor who wishes to invest in Indian stock market without registering with the market regulator. Okay, so next one is call money. Call money is very hot money It can be called at any time. It is a very hot money. It deals with day-to-day cash requirements. Banks are required to have a minimum cash requirements in their day-to-day requirements. So when bank borrow for 1 day, it is known as call money. So it ranges from 1 to 14 days. So if it is 1 day, it is called as which one? Call money. If it is 14 day, it is called as notice money. So after going through all this information, we are coming back to solve this question. Sorry, solving this question. So if you go through all these statements, as we discussed in the explanation page, all are correct. So the answer could be option. Correct answer could be option D. All the statements are correct. Okay. So after solving this question, we are moving to next question. Question 8. Question 8. The fifth generation telecommunication technology has gained popularity in recent years. Why? So it asks about why it has been gained popularity in recent years. So if you go through 2019 and 2020 prelims question paper, there was question about these areas. So but what UPSC is doing is it focuses on the technology with human impact, which means if you see RNA interference technology means it is a human biotechnology. The question based on biotechnology area. This question based on communication technology. So both biotechnology and communication technology have impact on human lives sincerely. So that's why UPSC is focusing on the technology which have a greater impact on human himself. Okay, so this question have been developed and has been thrown to UPSC aspirants in this following year. So based on this fashion, we have formatted this question 5G communication technology, and it is a very hot topic in Indian telecommunication technologies. Okay, so before solving this question, we are going to see some information about this 5G technology. Fifth generation communication technology is nothing but a 5G. 5G has lower latency as compared to 4G. Okay, latency means in network the data are transferred from server to this customer. Okay, server to customer. So in 4G, the data transfer can take 12 seconds or 13 seconds. It is for example, not exactly. If you after coming the 5G technology, it will be reduced to 1 second or 1.5 seconds. So the data transfer time is taken for the data transfer is very less in 5G technology. That is called latency. So 5G has lower latency as compared to 4G. Sorry, wait a minute. As compared to 4G. Okay. Latency for 5G is predicted to be below 10 milliseconds. Yes, it is a prediction for 5G technology. And reliability, if you see reliability, 5G is also designed to deliver signals more reliably than earlier cellular networks. That means 3G and 4G. Okay, so it is more reliable than 3G and 4G. Next one is LTE, stands for long-term evolution. That is, it is nothing but a 4G technology. So 4G has VoLTE and LTE. So it is a 4G technology. The main advantage is that 5G offers over 4G LTE is faster speeds. That is why all countries are adopting 5G communication technology. Primarily because there will be more spectrum available for 5G, and it uses more advanced radio technology. So 5G technology uses advanced radio technology. The newer 5G is not a replacement for 4G. 4G is separate and 5G is separate. So we will find LTE and 5G technology working together for the foreseeable future. So after going through all this information, we are coming to solving this question. So question is about correct statement. Okay. The fifth generation network has ultra low latency as compared to fourth generation network. Yes, as we saw now, this statement is correct. Fifth generation network is also designed to deliver signals more reliably than earlier cellular networks. Yes, this is also correct. And the fifth generation network can be applied in smart farming agriculture, not only in smart farming agriculture, but in Internet of Things and other power grids, agriculture related activities, etc. So the scope for fifth generation technology is more than 4G technology. So third statement is also correct. So the answer will be option D. Correct answer will be option D. All the statements are correct. So after solving this question, we are moving to next question. Inclusive Development Index is released by. As we told in the previous sessions, UPSC is asking every year about a report or index. So you should be very clear about these indexes. So Inclusive Development Index is released by whom? Means it is released by World Economic Forum. Okay, so this question have been modeled from, inspired from UPSC Prelims 2019 question paper. So in 2019, this question was a global competitiveness report. So you have to find the releasing organization. So what here trying to say is we have mentioned 4 international organizations. One is World Bank, we have World Economic Forum, United Nations, that means UNESCO, and next one is United Nations Population Fund. So we have to go through all these organizations and their releasing reports. So if you go through this explanation, United Nations Population Fund releases State of World Population Report. So it is very informative. This question is a informative type question. Okay. UNESCO, United Nations National Scientific and Cultural Organization, releases Global Education Monitoring Report and Gender Parity Report. These 2 reports are released by UNESCO. So you should be very clear about it. And the reports released by World Economic Forums are Trade, Travel and Tourism Companies Report, Global Competitiveness Report, Global Energy Architecture Performance Index Report, Global Environmental Performance Index, Inclusive Development Index. So Inclusive Development Index, Global Gender Gap Index. Global Gender Gap Index released by World Economic Forum, but Gender Parity Index released by UNESCO. You should be very cautious about these 2 indexes. And next one is World Bank releases Ease of Doing Business, World Development Report, Global Economic Prospects Report, and the Remittance Report and Universal Health Coverage Index. So all these are listed by World Bank. So after solving this question, we are moving to next question. The term Abraham Accord, sometimes seen in news in the relation between. There are 4 options given. In each option, there are 3 countries mentioned. 3 countries mentioned. So before solving this question, we are moving to explanation for the more information available regarding this Abraham Accord. So if you go through 2020 prelims question paper, there was a question about the term West Texas Intermediate. At that time, during COVID lockdown, this West Texas Intermediate question is recurrently. That's why UPSC asked question about this West Texas Intermediate. Based on this question, we have formatted that question. So before solving this question, we are going through explanation. Abraham Accord between Israel, United Arab Emirates, that is UAE, and Bahrain, and it is mediated by USA. It is the first Arab-Israeli peace deal in 25 years, nearly a quarter of the century. So it is the first Arab-Israeli peace deal in 26 years. It becomes very important. Okay, the Abraham Accord also opens the door for Muslims around the world to visit the historic sites in Israel and to peacefully pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, and third holiest site in Islam. So Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam. It is located in the Jerusalem. So the Abraham Accord facilitated to visit these sites. Okay. The agreement shows how the Arab countries are gradually decoupling themselves from the Palestinian question. So here lies the importance for India. So Arab countries itself, they are decoupling from Palestinian question, their international affairs. So India is also moving towards West. So it is also decoupling the Palestinian question from its international affairs. Okay, the full diplomatic ties will be established between Israel and the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, which will have a positive impact on the entire region. So India can ensure its own energy security. So after going through all this information, we are coming back to solve this question. So after going through information, we are sure that the option C is the correct answer. Israel, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this session. So the session 10 have been covered in this environmental convention, that is Global Tiger Forum, Ramsar Convention, Bonn Convention. Next in the great personality Abdul Hamid Lahori from in history and historical events from chronological orders. In the office of from polity, cold weather season from geography, PM Swarnidhi from social issues, basic economic concepts from economy, 5G technology from science and technology, inclusive development index from world affairs, and Abraham also from international relations. So we have concluded this session with diverse topics in these 10 questions. Okay. So we are ending this session. So if you have any queries and questions, please raise here. We are very glad to solve all your doubts and queries here. Okay. Thank you guys. Stay motivated, stay energized. Thank you.